Which of the post-apocalyptic movies in my VHS collection now looks the most dated on account of having a year in its title during which a nuclear holocaust patently did not happen? Let's find out now. Hello there, you big scoundrel. I am quite literally Jason Arnott, the author of The Last Days of Jack Sparks, Beast in the Basement, and the forthcoming novel Ghoster. If you're new here, then please consider subscribing using that little button there in the right hand corner of the screen so you don't miss any future videos. Now, I've always been a huge fan of the post-apocalyptic movie of the early 1980s. I think we know what we're talking about here. Italian Mad Max rip-offs featuring men prowling around nuclear wastelands in big spiky cars. And even spikier codpieces. Over the last couple of decades though, I've started to notice that a lot of these movies no longer look as futuristic as they once did, and that is largely down to the titles they chose for themselves. You and I are going to have a rummage through my VHS shelves until we find the post-apocalyptic movie with the most dated title possible. Stick around until the end too, because I'm going to show you another post-nuke movie on VHS which did manage to superbly future-proof itself with a great title. Our mission begins now. We'll start with one tape that doesn't actually seem too bad. That's not too dated, is it? Rome 2033, the fighter Centurions. Let's be honest, it's quite easy to conceive that by 2033 most of us might have become fighter Centurions. God knows, it might happen next week. This is actually a very good film, directed by Lucio Fulci, the director of the horror likes of The Beyond and City of the Living Dead, and it's got some great actors in it like Fred Williamson. Okay, so what have I got that is slightly more dated? Let's have a look at this one. 2020 Freedom Fighters. According to the makers of this movie, Earth will have become an arena and murder will have become a way of life simply by 2020. I don't think there's likely to be an apocalypse in the next 12 months, although even as I say that, I know that I really am tempting fate. Look at that, that's classic post-apocalyptic stuff, those stills. Funnily enough, even though this is my ideal type of movie, I haven't actually watched this. I really should. So, what could be more dated than a film with 2020 in the title? Ho 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 ho! Look at that. 2019, the year in which we currently exist. So, according to 2019, a thermonuclear war has just been waged against blah 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 blah. Giant anti-missile protective bubble. That's always a pleasure, isn't it? This is actually, believe it or not, and you probably will believe it, let's be honest, one of my favourite films. It's a genuinely fantastic film which pays homage, aka rips off Escape from New York and Mad Max, puts them together and creates something fantastic. An Italian movie, and well worth picking up on 88 Films' Blu-ray release, which I'll put a link to below. So how much more dated could the titles of these post-apocalyptic movies get? Well, there's Cherry 2000. How'd you like those apples? Or those cherries, in fact. However, this film is not quite as dated as it might initially appear because, as we can see on the back here, it's actually set in 2017, where romance is just a memory and love has been replaced by robotic sex toys. Oh, and there's been an apocalypse and stuff. And there's barbaric wastelands. Lovely. Another film I haven't actually watched, shockingly. Have you seen it? Tell me in comments below what you made of Melanie's sexbot antics. That's Melanie Griffith, of course. So moving on from the apocalyptic events of 2017, we have Firebird 2015 AD. Now this isn't strictly a post-apocalyptic movie, but it is that kind of dystopian world in which oil shortages have led the nations of the world to ban automobile use and make driving a car a capital crime. It looks like the makers of this film at least did not place their bets on the world having been destroyed by 2015, so that's good work. What's next? How much further back can we go than 2015? Well, have a look at this. Equalizer 2000. Now, I think you'll agree that is quintessential VHS post-apocalyptic artwork right there. I mean, how many barrels does one gun need? That is my question to you, and it is a rhetorical question, unless you feel like answering it in comments below. Let's have a look at the back there. The war is long over. Radiation has done its worst. Absolutely extraordinary. Next we've got Death Race 2000, of course, which you may have anticipated. Roger Corman, who made this movie, is never a man to rest on his laurels, and so he is making a new film called Death Race 2050, thereby making the film futuristic again. This is, of course, a splendid film which has David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone. So surely you're thinking no one could ever have included a year earlier than 2000 in the title of an 80s post-apocalyptic movie. Well, you'd be wrong. I'm about to show you one. But first, there's an honorary mention for Booby-Trap, which doesn't have, as you can see, a year in the title, but can you see that? It's set in 1998. And not only that, but in the blurb, you might not be able to see that. Ah, there we go. Yes, the year is 1998. 6 years earlier, a deadly virus swept through the United States, killing 120 million people. So this film placed its bets on 1992, which was probably about 10 years after it was made. These filmmakers must have been real pessimists. Another reason I wanted to show you this tape, of course, is that it's so pretty. Lenticular, that's the word for that. Beautiful. Okay, so in terms of dated titles for post-apocalyptic movies, this one wins. Are you ready? I think you are. Survival 1990. I mean, this film was made in the early 80s, and so I don't know. If you're going to put a futuristic date in your title, why would you not make it at least 2000? But then again, I suppose the sooner the apocalypse seems, the more it grabs people's attention and the more terrible it seems. So maybe there was some kind of method in these people's madness. Now, I have not seen this film, and oh, what's going on there? It's not that type of film, I swear to God. So let's have a look at this. In 1990, after the collapse of modern civilization, atomic accidents, blah, 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 failure of the world's economy, mutant packs of human scavengers that have begun to evolve back into animals. Animals. Can we give these people the benefit of the doubt and assume that animals is some kind of sci-fi term for mutant animals? Nah, I don't think we can we? So, what about that film I promised you for the very end, the one that really did a good job of making sure it would never be dated? Here it is then, the post-apocalyptic movie that will never date, well, for about 1,000 years. Exterminators of the year 3000! That's just genius, isn't it? Although even as I say this, I'm imagining some bloke watching whatever the future equivalent of YouTube will be in 3001 and going, oh, dated. And this is actually one of the better post-apocalyptic movies. Like 2019, it'll be remembered fondly by anyone who rented videos during that whole era. So, I hope you've enjoyed this tiptoe through a radioactive wasteland. If you did, then don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Stick around till the end too, because I'm going to superbly, for fuck's sake, which of the movies in my which of the why can't I say post-apocalyptic movies? What's wrong with me?